Hello and welcome to Samarkand for the Uzbekistan Economic Forum 2022, where I'm delighted to be joined by Irina Bokova, member of the board at Whiteshield and former Director General of UNESCO. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So Whiteshield is currently working very closely with the Uzbek government to improve the country's credit rating. What can you tell us about your efforts?
The Whiteshield company has a very innovative approach towards economic development, looking at the all-country development, all-country reform, looking at the different sectors, the economy, the social, in a very innovative way. And this appeals very deeply with me, resonates deeply with my experience at UNESCO when we were engaged in educational efforts, in innovation, in the science. And the work that Whiteshield is doing now, it's really critical in my view for the reform process in Uzbekistan. Definitely we see a leadership, we see a strong leadership in driving forward this, but it's very important to look at the policy gaps and also to draft kind of a chart, the roadmap of where Uzbekistan wants to go and how they can achieve this in all the different areas. So the work on the ratings is not just a technical work, it's a deeply, I would say, policy work. And as I said, it looks at the different elements. For example, how Uzbekistan can be more relevant into innovation. And innovation definitely is coming right forward in this forum, but I would say globally, about one of the drives for economic reform, economic success. But also Uzbekistan having a youth population, the youth dividend, as we call it, it will not exactly be useful for the country without looking at how innovation is being introduced here in all the different sectors in a very comprehensive manner, or the Human Development Index, which is about the inclusiveness in this reform process, because any reform will be successful only if it is inclusive and it really puts people into the heart, as is the motto of this year's economic reform. So looking at all these different ratings, innovation, education, human development, I think it's a great tool for accelerate the reform and also to implement something very strategic and very much, I would say, practical and hands-on.
So how can the Uzbek government ensure that its vast and ambitious program of reforms include everyone, benefits everyone across the country?
It's a very critical question in my view. As I said, reforms are successful when they are inclusive. And I see the ambition of the leadership, of the president, of the government of Uzbekistan to have exactly this approach. It means first and foremost, once again, looking at the young population, look at the educational system, the educational reform. There is a lot to be done here in the country to improve the quality of education, look at the curricular, at the teachers, new technologies, how they include also the digital into the education, but look also at all the levels of education, the high education. And here, I think, and I was quite surprised to see that unfortunately it's only 12% of the population, the people that are included into the tertiary education. Then of course to look at the human index once again, because this is critical, whether it's in the health area, once again in the education area, look at the overall ecosystem, as we used to say, into how people are included into the reform process. It's critical. In other words, when we speak about, and it's so many talk about the ESG, the environmental, the social, the governance, very often the social is neglected, and we want to once again emphasize here with the government of Uzbekistan that if they want to be inclusive, the social should be there.
I understand you are attending the forum for the first time. Your impressions so far?
I'm really impressed. I've been here a couple of times in my former capacity, but I think for the first time I see really a very strong commitment, a political drive of the government for reform. I see also in an open-mindedness. I see a very strong desire, deep desire for partnerships, for collaborating with the world, for openness to the world, and all this is very encouraging. And I would say also we are in Samarkand, and it's a fantastic place in view of the cultural heritage that they have. And the cultural dividend also of this country is immense. And combining this political will with the very clear roadmap of where they want to go and how Uzbekistan wants to go, I think is very reassuring, and I'm sure that it will be a success story.
Irina Bokova, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.